Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. It's just coming up to 5:10 and you are listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today is Eileen Audas, Cookie Baudet and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Hannah. Hello, everyone.
Thank you all for coming in. If you are listening at home and you'd like to get involved, you absolutely can. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, so wonderful life.
Now, a lot of these articles I've got here have obviously come from UK papers, and I think that is quite obvious with this first one, because I would suggest the statistics are very different for those of us living in Spain. But it says almost half of adults spend less than a few hours enjoying the great outdoors each week, despite happy childhood memories of building dens and picking blackberries. A survey found some 44% spend 3 hours or less of their free time each week in nature. Do you spend more than that living in Spain?
I'm surprised it's as much as 3 hours for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I suppose with the weather, yeah, it does sound like a lot.
No, I don't think the weather should have anything to do. I mean, I grew up in Canada, which was either too hot, too cold, too wet, and I was always outdoors, skating, skiing, swimming, but just doing it, getting on with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very sad if you're bringing up children not to appreciate animals, nature, trees, plants, everything.
Does it give an age demographic of that?
No, but these are older, but these are grown-ups,
right?
That aren't necessarily. Some have got young children, some haven't. So yeah.
Well, I can say the weather does make a massive difference, because as you know, I've been in Galicia for 2 years, and the winter just gone. We had 4.5 months of rain. Did I go out for a walk? No. And when we were going into the town, Lugo, the old capital, for dinner or for lunch, I was in 4 layers of clothes plus thermal. So the last thing I'm going to want to do is go out for a walk. I mean, I did go and feed the chickens and things like that, but it really depends on the weather. It really does depend on the weather.
So these people wouldn't have dogs, I guess. Or they wouldn't. Surely they walk their dog at least.
Yeah, that's
Give the poor dog a walk at least twice a day. No, I don't think there's any excuse for it.
Maybe people are more on their devices these days, and that's why they're not going outside.
Well, I'm sure that has something to do with it. Have you?
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, have you noticed a difference being here? Are you conscious of how much you go outside, or?
I think in general here life is outside much more, but that is the climate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And also the length of day. You know, I play golf and we have this, all the Scandinavians descend on us in September and they go back in April. And mainly that is because of the shortness of the day in the winter. I think that can really get to you. I was speaking to somebody only the other day who was saying that she didn't realise when she was in the UK how much affected she was by the weather.
Yeah.
But I have friends who, their son and grandchildren have moved to Norway. And they are actually American originally, but they've lived here for some time. And they are struck how much Norwegians ignore the weather. Those grandsons, who are now, I suppose, 15 and 16, just go to do what they would normally do, whatever the weather.
Yeah.
And it's like the old Germans saying, there's nothing, it's not the weather, it's just the wrong clothes.
Well, that's what I'm amazed, how people do not dress for the weather. It's not that complicated. You know, take an umbrella, take a heavy coat.
Yeah, but I'm a golfer. I don't play in the rain. I don't play here in the rain. Why should I? Because tomorrow it won't be raining.
Yeah, but if you're in England, you would play in the rain, wouldn't you?
I have never played in England, but I have relatives who have, and they were definitely affected by work. So when I was in England, I was a runner. And every morning I went out to do my so many minutes that I had planned. rain, hail, shine or snow, because otherwise I was at work. So my brother-in-law, for example, played golf on Saturdays, whatever the weather, with his group at 8, well, it was barely light at 8:30, probably 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're affected by that, but people here, you know, we are lucky, I am anyway, lucky to be retired. So I don't have to go out in the rain. But a lot of people, if you're in the UK and you've only got a very small amount of time available because you're working, and you're not training for your marathon or whatever, you just think, well, I ought to get out in nature. Oh, good, I'll go under the trees and be dripped on. I can see why people would not do that. But it is habit, isn't it? I used to go out training, running, because I had a schedule to keep to. But that's very difficult to impose on yourself if you don't have something to aim for.
I think people live a good 10 years longer here than they do in the UK. If they're going to stay inside and stay in front of the television or in social media and not go out and get any fresh air or have a life.
Yeah. But then the thing is, in the UK, it gets dark at 4 o'clock, 3:30. Yeah. And when you're working full time...
That's in the winter.
And you're coming home, the last thing you want to do, and it's raining and it's cold, the last thing you want to do is actually put your gym gear on and go out. And believe you me, I was dressed for the weather in Galicia. Did I want to step out that front door because it was raining? No.
No.
Not at all. But here, you're outside all the time.
It's the same things, isn't it? If you can develop good habits, and you can go and do something with like-minded people, because these people who are not going out in nature probably aren't going out socialising either. They may be sticking at home too much. And other communities, we should learn from other communities that if we can develop good habits, we will benefit from meeting people.
A lot of it is habitual, I think, definitely, whether it's going out for a run or going to the gym, as you say. You know, some people will go to the gym either before work or after work every day, whatever the weather, and it's part of their routine. And you know, but there's, and same with the running and all these habits that is just down to the individual as to what we get used to doing. And others, the weather would massively affect all of it. Or even just going out socially, the idea of going for a drink with your friends after work. You might plan to do it, and if it's raining, you might say, "Oh, should we not bother?"
Absolutely,
do it another day.
There's been a New Year where I was meant to go out for New Year's Eve in London, and it was so cold. I mean, it was freezing cold. I think it was going to snow, and it was like, I'm staying home. So I obviously made the phone calls from a landline, not a mobile, and just said, "Look, guys, I'm not coming out. It's too cold." And they're like, "It's really, really cold. We're actually thinking about not going either."
Yeah.
So I just spent New Year's at home.
Don't go to an outside bar if it's raining.
Oh, no.
Inside.
No, it was inside. The venue's inside, but you've still got to travel and get on the train and stand on the platform.
In Canada, everybody has a cottage. So you winter... I mean, I didn't. I left after university and I went to Kenya, and I've lived in a hot climate ever since. But he stayed. And they have a cottage and they winterize it. So in the winter, 20 below zero, goes on his skidoo or his skis. And you know, they just get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's very healthy, both he and his wife. And now they bicycle all over the place. You know, it doesn't matter if it's raining, they just get on with it.
Yeah, it is. Everybody's different. I mean, there are some people that just could never and would never live in a country that's that cold. But then when you're used to it, and that's how, you know, it's perfectly normal. Same with hot. Some people would never live in or even in southern Spain where we are. You know, there's a lot of people that come and go and will not be here in the summer. They'll leave in July and August because it's too hot for them. So it's just what you're used to and what you want to get used to, and we're all different, and that's what makes the world go round. There's a lovely piece here with the headline, "There really is no one quite like Grandma." And I thought we could look at this from the point of view of our own grandmas, because I don't think any of us here are grandmas. So,
we may be old enough to be grandmas and not be grandmas. Speaking personally.
I'm not even a mother, so...
Well, there you go. So we're all in the same boat there. So I thought it was an interesting one, looking at our grandmothers, if we're prepared to do that. Staying on the right side of Granny may have earned you later bedtimes, more treats and extra pocket money. Now it seems a good relationship with your grandparents could also have set you up for success in later life. The grandparent effect can lead to better outcomes, such as doing well at school. school. The report found that grandmothers, particularly the child's mother's mother, have the strongest positive influence.
Well, what's interesting, well, my father was worried because we didn't have relatives in Canada, so he would send my grandmother from Scotland for 3 months every year, and she would stay with us. But that, according to latest research, is a daughter takes after her grandmother far more than her mother.
Okay.
And, yes, so I've been looking at that. I have my grandmother's chin. That I know for sure. The rest, it's just an interesting question. Interesting subject.
So are you conscious that your grandmother had a big influence on you?
Well, when I look back, I'm very work-oriented, and she was very work-oriented, but actually so was my mother. So that's not some, but yes, I think she did. I think she had a reasonable influence on us, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends whether... I personally would say that I wasn't very much influenced by either grandmother, apart from my mother used to say, oh, well, Granny used to do X, Y, and Z, so that was passed down. So, and I once was in contact with a man who's a spiritualist, a medium, and he used to just stop and then and look over into the distance, and then he'd say, now your granny says that you should do such and such. So apparently when my mum was alive, my granny was always at my elbow, and she told him that, you know, sometimes when you're wondering what to say, it's my words you're delivering. And I'm thinking, well, I think I have enough of my own. I don't need you on my shoulder. But it's, you know, 10,000 years ago, families were more important, weren't they? Because we were hunter-gatherers, we were all working as a tribe, but that's why they think the menopause came along, because the grandmother could actually be still competing sexually with her daughter. Wow. And
that's fascinating.
Isn't it?
And that is not going to be the best for the tribe as a whole.
No.
Because humans develop so slowly compared with other animals. There's a lot to learn. We've got to fill our big brains with something. Not that you see that with some people, you know, but there we are.
So that's how the menopause came about. So the grandma had to stop
because it was all
stop being fertile.
Yes.
All cooperative, and children are thought to have learned a lot from their grandmothers because the mother was probably producing the next child. So in an extended family, the grandmother or even the great grandmother would be looking after the older children rather, and passing on all. So it's a physical thing. So that must still be somewhere in our genes.
Yeah.
But that's why they reckon that the menopause occurs. So that there was actually an older female available to look after the older children whilst the mother was still producing children. And of course the men were off hunting.
Yeah.
I do think even today that having grandparents, I just notice it in friends and people, that having grandparents around, they can add a different dimension of wisdom and help children to grow up and help answer questions and give advice that perhaps parents either don't have time or...
Definitely. And joy. Grandparents are supposed to be a lovely...
I didn't know my dad's mum because she passed away when my dad was 6. So then my dad's father remarried. So I've got a step granny, and she died quite a while ago. And I didn't know her because obviously she was living in India and we were obviously living in London. But we knew, obviously, then we got introduced to my mum's mum, and she was a right old cow. So when she was horrid woman, horrid. She's horrible to my mum, really horrible to my mum, but really nice to her other daughter and her other children. But I think it's because my mum, she was the firstborn.
Right.
In the family. And so when she passed away, my mum's mum, I was singing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. I was very happy. She was horrid. horrid woman.
Awful.
So
this is the thing.
not all grandparents are great.
No,
But
absolutely
I bet you
not.
learned a lot from that experience.
Well, I mean, I didn't really know her because she didn't really want to have any active part in her grandchildren as my mum's kids,
Yeah.
4 of us. She wasn't really fussed at all about us 4. She
a
was
shame.
more focused on my mum's sister's children and her son's children.
See, this is the interesting thing with families, isn't it? We can't give blanket statements and say, oh, the bond between a mother and daughter is so special and important, because some people's mums or some people's daughters aren't very nice.
She was horrid.
It's not always smooth sailing, and these, sibling relationships, again, can be so special, and, you look after each other throughout your life. You've always got your brother or sister. Other siblings don't talk to each other because, that you can grow up in the same household and end up very different people, which I find fascinating. People who theoretically had the same childhood and the same upbringing. No, it's not. Just because you're living in the same house, it's not the same childhood or upbringing. It's really interesting.
People have their own experiences, and I know growing up in my family with my siblings, they were my best friends, and we'd always go out together when we're going out in London. It's like, where are we going?
Lovely.
All 4 of us would go out together.
Yeah.
And some of my sister's uni friends would say, how comes you're out with your sisters and your brother? And she'd say, they're my best friends. And they would turn around and say, we would never go out with our siblings ever.
Yeah.
We'd go out with our friends, but we always got on, and we were really close in age anyway. But yeah, I mean, I love spending time with my sisters. And
That's so
being
lovely.
with
That's
them.
very special.
It is very special.
I've just had a lovely week with my sister.
Oh.
So I've been a week with a granny, and what I do know is, because I used to do this as an auntie, was that sometimes mum says something, children don't listen. And sometimes granny says it and children will hear. And my sister and I agreed that if you don't actually say those things, the child has no chance of hearing it.
No.
So we just regard that as our role, that you should say those things, and they may not be well received.
Yeah,
But
at least you've
later
said
on,
it.
the child may think, oh yes, well, what granny said was right.
Yeah.
So don't hang back.
Definitely. We better take a break.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today is Eileen Aldas, Cookie Baudet and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. It may seem like the stuff of science fiction now, but in 6 years, NASA hopes to build a permanent city-sized base on the moon. The base would cover hundreds of square miles in an environment where temperatures can range from more than 250 Celsius to minus 400 Celsius. Well, dressing for the weather will be interesting there,
There you
won't
go.
it? So it just got me thinking, how realistic that this is. But if we could, in our lifetime, visit the moon as a traveller, and it didn't cost 180 billion pounds or whatever to do it, and it was, it was doable, might have require saving a little bit of money, but it was something that we could do, would you want to?
Not a chance.
No,
Doesn't
really?
interest me in any way. Besides, there's going to be war over the space, and between the Chinese and the Russians and the US, and they all want to take control of the moon.
Yeah.
So no way.
No.
There's more chance of them discovering clangers on the moon, as in the those ones, than them actually building a base on the moon. And for me, it's like, why are you wasting billions and billions and billions of dollars and money? And it's taxpayers' money, remember, NASA's money is from taxpayers. Why are you wasting that much money doing something like that? Surely that money could be spent better and used better
on this
with
planet.
humanity and on this planet than wasting it going, well, there's that whole theory that have they even been there in the first place. So, I just think it's a waste of money.
Well, it's not as big a waste of money as war, which we're spending billions
war doesn't
and
waste
billions.
money. War makes money. That's the difference.
Well, no, it's wasting a lot of money.
Yeah.
That at least, I'm very curious about the universe. I don't want to go and live anywhere other than Earth. I have enough trouble on Earth, preserving it, trying to preserve our little place here. But learning about the universe, I think, and NASA has helped science developments through the research required, taken us steps forward. So there is that, and that I agree with.
I don't think we entirely appreciate the benefits that we get from adventuring, do we? I personally, I agree with you, Rosalind. I personally wouldn't want to go. I don't know. Is that an age thing? Perhaps I was braver once than I am now. But there are lots of things that you can say. Well, should we actually do this when we could be feeding people? And should we put money into the arts or orchestras, or should we be spending money on that, or should we be investing so much in non-medical research? Well, the fact is, you never know what you're going to learn along the way, and life is for living as well, isn't it? That's my view about culture, that people's lives are enriched and their minds are broadened by lots of different experiences. And I just feel that I don't know what comes from space exploration, except you hear that we wouldn't have Teflon pans if they hadn't started on space. So we don't know. And there has to be blue sky. This is literally blue sky thinking, isn't it? Not everything you do is done for an end that that there are unknown unknowns, and sometimes you only find out what they are when you go off and try to look for them. So I do admire it, and I suppose in relation to the US economy, it sounds a lot of money to us, but perhaps it isn't. Because along the way, it will actually be growing that economy, won't it?
Yeah.
The industry that is, and scientific knowledge and application
knowledge
of knowledge.
But it's all paid for and funded by the taxpayer. And the US are, I don't know how many trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. It's unbelievable the amount of debt America's in.
And people can't afford medical
exactly.
care.
And they
so
want to
expensive in America.
Would you be able to go out on the moon? You wouldn't be able to go out. It's not going to be obviously like planet Earth, is it? Where you can just go, I'm going to open the door, open the windows and go outside.
No,
you won't
absolutely.
be able to. So
I'm going to say the other side of things and just say that I would absolutely love to go into space. I think it would be an amazing experience. I totally appreciate and totally understand what you're saying about how much it all costs, including war and everything, and how all this money would be much better spent looking after people on Earth and looking after animals and looking after the seas and the oceans and everything else. Absolutely.
What's your main reason you'd like to go?
I, like you, have always been fascinated in space, the universe. Yeah. I loved learning about the planets at school and things like that, and find it really, really hard to comprehend when you think about the size of the Earth and the size of, we get the size of Spain is large, for example, but it's nothing compared to the Jupiter, and it's just really difficult to get your head around, and I find it all fascinating, and I think the idea of being up there in a rocket looking down on Earth would be the most mind-blowing, incredible experience.
I can think of other mind-blowing experience I'd rather have.
No, fair enough, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, you leave the space in the spacecraft for Hannah.
Yes, I'll take your seat.
I'll give it away.
Brilliant. This was a piece we talked about last week on Men Talk. I thought it would be interesting to get your view. Again, it's talking about adventure. Wizz Air apparently have launched a special flight for thrill-seeking passengers who don't know where they're flying to. So you spend however much you're spending. You're told to get to the airport at whatever time. You're told that you're going to a location with a certain temperature, so you know how to pack, so you can pack a bikini or a coat or whatever. And that's it. Your boarding pass says unknown.
Brilliant.
So you know how long the flight's going to be, so you can get some sort of idea. Again, obviously, if you're paying €100 return, then you know you're not going to end up in Asia or whatever, because it's not going to be that cheap, so you know it's going to be Europe and things like that. Would that be something that would interest you?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Not a chance.
So go on, Kiki. Why?
It was just, again, you don't know where you're going. You know what you need to pack.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to the Maldives because of the price of the ticket.
Yeah.
But it's an adventure, isn't it? You're packing. You've got your clothes. You know where you don't know where you're going, but you know what the temperature is going to be. So
Just
you
a
could
fun
end up
little adventure.
somewhere really, really exciting that you would have never ever thought of going to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you could end up in some dumb... I mean, I've travelled and
Or the
lived
moon.
all
You could end
over,
up on the
excuse
moon.
me, all over the world. And there's a lot of places I wouldn't necessarily want to go back to. So I don't really want that sort of surprise.
No.
And they might even be giving, places that need the tourists because nobody wants to go there. So they give you a free seat to these places.
Yeah.
But life's full of risk, isn't it? And I can't believe that Wizz Air are going to send everybody to a dump every time, because that word will get about, and then they won't make any profit at all.
Yeah, but
so
my idea of a
there must
dump
be
might not be
something.
your idea of a dump.
There you go.
So the article said the woman who wrote this landed in Yerevan, which is the capital of Armenia, and again she said it wouldn't have been somewhere that she would have chosen to go to, but she said it was incredible. It was really cheap. She enjoyed some really lovely food, local food and drink. She said the architecture was stunning, and so it was a real prime example. It wouldn't have been somewhere she would have gone to, and she was like, wow, this is amazing, a really special experience.
I'm amazed that anybody would... I mean, there's enough other ways of getting your kicks in life than to do something like that. I think you have to be kind of desperate for a bit of excitement in your life to even think about putting it, your holiday in somebody else's hands like that.
We all have to be jolted out of our complacency, don't we? If that ticket were available, we might do it.
I don't think it's a form of desperation. It's a form of excitement and adventure.
I find life quite exciting enough.
You can have your whole life planned and mapped out for you, and how boring is that? You know, do something.
You're taking the other extreme. But you don't have to be complacent. I mean, I love living every day here in this beautiful part of the country. I'm not complacent.
No.
And so, all it's going to do is jolt me. It's going to jolt me.
Well, we're all different, as I said.
Exactly.
Horses for horses.
Yes, yes. I understand that it could all go horribly wrong, but I guess that's kind of the fun of it. It's not, you're not talking about going to somewhere for 6 months. I think it's like a long weekend, and I kind of think, well, how bad can it be? You just embrace the adventure of, okay, this is where we are. This is, the whole point of it is. Well, yeah, an adventure.
And you won't be alone because you'll be with a plane full of other people, and if it's really rubbish,
you can all get together and
you can all moan about it.
Yeah,
or you're going to be with your partner.
Yes.
So you're with somebody but it's that race across the world.
I'd
love to do something like that.
Oh my goodness, my favourite programme
I'd
ever.
love to do something like that.
Me too. Brilliant. I've interviewed Alfie a few times, the guy who won it a couple of years ago. It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Race Across the World?
No. Is that BBC
or
what is that?
Yes, BBC.
BBC Two.
I do.
Oh, is it?
I'm sure it's BBC Two.
I thought it was a BBC one.
Yeah, I think
Anyway,
you have two people that are together, so it could be two sisters, it could be mother and daughter, it could be two mates or whatever, and they basically have to get from somewhere in Italy to somewhere in Russia, for example. But each episode that you see, they only have to go a certain distance, but they cannot fly. They have a limited budget.
No, I like that. I would like to do that. That would be fun. I'd take the train and the bus.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But you're racing against the other competitors.
Yeah.
So it's
all
the first one to the destination.
Yeah, that's okay.
Out to Mongolia this year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mongolia. I don't know about
interesting.
There was nothing there, was there? It was really
it's flatlands, isn't it? So I think it's the Deccan Peninsula or plateau there, and it's just completely flat in Mongolia.
So were they walking? What were they doing? Bicycling?
You get ideally you get a lift that you don't have to pay for. But the interesting thing about Mongolia, everybody wanted money. In all the other countries, in so many other countries, if you stick your thumb out and people gave you a lift, money was never discussed. You'd say, "Oh, thank you so much. This is so kind of you," and you'd chat to the person. But in Mongolia, you'd stick your thumb out. They'd get in the car and say, "Oh, thank you so much," and they'd say, "No problem. This will be 200 and whatever," which I thought was fascinating. Yeah. Okay, we better take a break.
Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Women Talk with Eileen Audas, Cookie Baudet and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. This is an article we also mentioned with the men, but I thought I'd save it to get your thoughts. The headline reads, "He tuts when I use the butter knife in the jam and insists our car must be reversed into the driveway. I'd had it with my grumpy middle-aged man and still until we started living in separate houses." So she says, we're talking 30 to 40 eyebrow raises a day. I can get up at 6 a.m. and not have to tiptoe like a ninja. I mean, my thought is, why would you want to be with someone if it's that miserable?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't she just leave him? Get a life. Get on with your life.
Helen Bonham Carter lives separately from her husband. They've got houses next door to each other.
Yeah.
And they said it was the best thing that they ever did.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that from years ago. I mean, I don't know if they went through this before that happened or whether I don't know what reasons they decided to do that. But yeah.
But according to this article, so they're then living separately, but are they still, is she still with this grumpy old man?
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
Why is she?
Well, that's a good question.
No.
One doesn't need to settle.
Life's too short.
Yes.
More fish.
But the thing is, you get in, when you're in a relationship, part of that relationship and part of it moving forward is that you move in with that person and then you get married and then you live together and you have your life together. Yes, I know some couples have separate bedrooms and sometimes I've taken myself off into the spare room when the husband's snoring so I can sleep, but we have our main bedroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's some things that he does that annoy me. I'm sure there's plenty of things that I do that annoy him, but that's just part of being a couple, isn't it? As long as you don't fight and argue, and you're happy in your relationship.
Well, life changes, doesn't it? I don't think that if he had been a grumpy man when she met him, she probably wouldn't have married him. But people do change over a long time. And
do men become more grumpy? Do you think?
I think as we, in general, as we get older, we are less tolerant, I think, and a bit more.
Is that the royal we? Is that the royal we?
I think it's male and female.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
We
Really?
in general as people,
Do you think
100%.
so?
I don't know that we're less tolerant, but perhaps we're more likely to speak out. You know, sometimes now I do say, well, this is my opinion, and if you don't like it, tough. Whereas 30, 40 years ago, I might have actually bothered about, I might not have said something because
don't want to offend or don't want to upset.
Frightened of the results. But now I think, well, what's the downside?
Yeah.
You know, if that person falls out with me, it may not be my loss. So that happens. But people do get grumpier. I use the F word a lot more than I ever did 10 years ago. But
Eileen's dropping the F-bomb everywhere.
Well, I use it in my car far too much. Usually the window's up. Not always. But I do think many people live unhappily ever after. And that makes me sad. I think... I think there's more choices available.
It's a pity that something couldn't have been said about tutting. And, do you know that you tut every time I put the knife in? The husband may not realise that this is actually getting up her nose
These
so
things
much.
need to be communicated, and that's not clear in the article whether that happens or not. You know, if it's that he tuts when I use the butter knife in the jam, has she said you do realise you do this, and can you not do that? Like, or he might say, he should say, can you not put the butter knife in the jam? You're putting butter in the jam, and that really annoys me. I don't want to be fishing the butter out when I get... these conversations should be really obviously had.
Yeah,
and if he says, I don't like this, she should say, oh, sorry, I'll try and stop doing it.
Yeah, but this is just an example of what he's like. He's far too pedantic.
But she might have really annoying habits, because that's from her perspective.
Yeah, I mean, butter isn't nice in the jam.
No, it's not at all.
I'll be honest.
What's wrong with it? It doesn't offend me at all.
It's like peanut butter
I wouldn't have a thing over it, but I mean, I had some Marmite on toast this morning, and I was really conscious because obviously I used the same knife, and I did some butter first. And then I did the Marmite, and I was really conscious to make sure I didn't leave any butter in the Marmite, because then automatic, or even bits of toast in the butter, things like that, because it just doesn't look nice.
Exactly.
It's not a
Well, I
problem.
agree with that.
It's only me and my husband. I'm not going to go have a fit over it. It wouldn't bother me. But you still want to try and not do it.
But that's the other thing, that if she tuts, why does she continue to do it?
That's what I mean, from both sides.
It's not that big a deal not to do it, is it?
Exactly.
Presumably, if they got separate houses, there was something much more
I was
serious.
just about to say, there's something much deeper going on.
Not dish the dirt in that article. There are
just
things
be
we
the
don't
butter.
know.
Yeah, there's something much deeper going on there for them to have separate houses.
That's kind of where I'm going. I'm kind of thinking that, if you get to the stage where they annoy you that much, that there are so many issues, I hate the way she does this, or I hate the way he does it, or he's always like this, or she's... If that's the kind of overriding way that you feel about your partner, that's not great, is it?
Then leave each other and split up and move
But
on.
how did they start the conversation that, I think it's time we lived in separate houses? Oh, really, dear? Why is that? Well, I can't tell you, but I think we should live in separate houses.
Exactly.
I think Helena Bonham Carter and her husband actually lived separately and then got together and decided not to sell either of the houses. I think I think they perhaps were
Just did it
neighbours
from the start,
but
yeah.
yes, so that's a bit different. But if you're living in one house, I just don't know how. If tutting is the issue that you need a new house for, how did they broach the subject at all?
Yes,
They're obviously a very affluent couple as well, to be able to afford two houses and two costs of obviously running houses.
Yeah,
They're obviously very affluent.
We better take our last ad break.
Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the last part of today's Women Talk with Eileen Audas, Cookie Baudet and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. We've all come up with a much better financial solution to the last couple. Instead of buying a new house, they could have just bought a new pot of jam each. That would make perfect sense, wouldn't it? If it annoyed you that much and the person didn't do anything about it, have your own butter and your own jam.
There you go.
And your own knife.
Little labels. Your own knife. Absolutely. So this is a fascinating one. Bride files for divorce one day after wedding due to groom's mortifying cake stunt. Basically, there's this thing online that some couples do. Instead of cutting the cake and, it all being really nice, you pull the cake apart and throw it at each other, which apparently some young couples are doing, and it's all very funny and whatever. Anyway, so this guy had said to his girlfriend, before they'd got married, shall we do something funny with the cake? And she said, absolutely not. I don't want to do that. I want to just cut the cake and have the photo and do it normally. I do not do that. And he, in front of all their friends and family, when they went to cut the cake, he got her head and slammed it into the cake.
Oh, God, that's horrible.
So she had cake all over her face and the cake was ruined. So she walked out and the next day filed for divorce.
Do you know something? I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know, same.
Not surprised.
You know what? If the person I married was capable of doing that,
what
after
else?
I'd said...
You'd be relieved to get away.
Yeah.
She got a lucky break.
Yeah, I agree.
And they spoke about it before the event.
Exactly. He went against
100%. So what else is he going to go against in the relationship?
Yeah.
Why? What is the reason about throwing cake around?
People do it,
People
don't they?
think it's funny.
Some kind of trend.
I know 70-year-old people men who still think it's funny to throw bread rolls at a meal.
Really?
Yeah.
To who?
At my golf club, there are certain men, we can do this and we can throw bread rolls at one another. And I'm thinking, what?
How funny.
So you just never know.
Yeah.
I'd go up to them and say, how old are you?
Yes, quite.
I'd go and take their bread rolls away.
I'd go around and nickel the bread rolls.
And make sure you've got some jam with you as well at the same time.
Especially if they're buttered first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I totally agree. I don't think it's an some people have online reacted to this saying what an overreaction, and I actually don't think it is.
Well,
it
is extreme, isn't it? But you don't know what went on before either.
No.
The reaction is extreme. Instead of saying, why did you why did you do that the following day?
Yeah.
What chance have we got of being happy together if you're capable of doing that?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming maybe that she did that first. I don't know.
I wouldn't discuss it. No, I'm sorry, I wouldn't discuss it with him. Ruin the event, ruin the dress. No, I just walk away and never look back. Sorry, ridiculous way to behave.
It is mind-blowing.
You'd hope you'd seen something coming beforehand, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is sad and shocking to go for divorce the day after. It really, there's a small part of me that thinks it was an overreaction, but
really,
but again, you don't know whether they had a big conversation about it, and he said, "Oh, don't be so ridiculous," and then she thought, "Right, this isn't salvageable," or whether she had no conversation. That isn't clear, so we don't actually know whether she tried to talk about it first.
If that happened to you, Hannah, would you discuss it with him later? Give him a chance?
It's so hard to imagine because, again, I can't imagine being with a guy that was capable of doing that. I'd like to think that I would have known that he was that sort of person before I got to the wedding day, and that's what you're saying, Eileen, isn't it? You'd like to think that there were signs, and if you knew that he was that kind of he wouldn't be the kind of person I'd want to marry.
Horrible way to behave.
Exactly.
Terrible.
And somebody who can react like that, actually, you don't know what else he might do suddenly, do you?
Yeah,
exactly. What might be the next impulsive thing? Yeah.
Impulsive behaviour.
Yeah,
it's weird.
She's dodged a bullet there, I think.
But that's what sells papers.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Okay, we have 5 minutes. Some countries... Oh, no, I don't think we should end on that. Oh, maybe we can. Should we end on ashes?
Ashes?
As in human ashes?
As in human ashes.
Yes,
as in what we would like to be done with our ashes. There was an article, some countries are seriously exploring terramation, turning human remains into soil instead of burial or cremation. So the question is, what would you want to be done with your ashes? Some people think they should stay together. Some people are okay about them being separated, if you were cremated, in other words.
I would be quite happy having my ashes scattered anywhere, really. I don't think I want them scattered in the Thames, because the Thames is dirty, even though I'm a Londoner born and bred.
Yeah.
Or I'd want them compressed into a gem, because they can do that.
Yes, that's lovely. I've got that with my mum.
Yeah.
I've got some earrings
Have you?
and a necklace. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
wow.
got her ashes in. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, something like that.
Nice.
I don't care.
Oh, really?
Honestly, no, I don't care. I think once you're dead, you're dead. And if you're cremated, if people are cremated and they don't take the ashes away, then not everybody does. What do they do with them? They probably put them in the compost or something.
I guess, yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter what happens to me.
So are you bothered whether you're buried or cremated?
I've left my body to science anyway, if they want it.
Yeah?
Yeah, Keith and I have signed the papers.
We spoke about that on the radio yesterday. You've done all the paperwork for it. That's really interesting.
We did it about 12 years ago.
I thought of doing that, but if you go to medical students, they can kind of get a kick out of throwing your bits and pieces.
Oh, stop it, don't.
Yeah, they do. But I don't care about that either, because I don't think that the soul of me does not reside
in the body.
In that shell.
Yeah.
It's a shell. Mm-hmm. I'm not there.
No.
Mm-hmm. If I'm dead, doesn't matter to me.
It's interesting. Obviously, it's the family members or friends who are left behind and what they want to do and things like that. I'm really happy what we did with my mum's ashes. We took most of them to Norway, which was her spiritual home. And me, my husband and my dad had like a little canoe, and we went and put them to somewhere that meant a lot to her. And that was really special. Dad and I also climbed La Concha. And that's actually, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had a look at the beautiful view, and also I got some jewellery made as well, and a little bit in the garden, but some people, I think sometimes it's a religious thing. They feel that you shouldn't separate the ashes; they should all be kept together, which I get. But no, I'm.
Well,
quite happy
a
with
friend
what we did.
Had the ashes put into kind of a stone and put to a part of a lake that her husband really liked.
Oh, that's lovely.
And so it sank to the bottom. So that was nice.
Yeah.
And then they had a ceremony with...
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
There's so many amazing things you can do now. Really is. But I understand what you mean. I'm not sure. I sort of feel like it's the people who left behind that get to do those things. I'm not sure that I'd have this long list of what I would want done with my own ashes.
You're going to remember your mother, how you do it best, aren't you? That's the fact.
Yeah.
But places like, I'll say West Ham, poor things, have just gone down out of the Premier. My husband was a bond holder in the 1980s. When they went down that year, he and a friend decided to become season ticket holders because they needed support. So if you're disappointed about West Ham, just go and get a season ticket holder because they need your support now, so do that. But you can't take your ashes to be put onto the pitch at West Ham because too many people want to do it and there'd be no grass left. So you can't always do what you want.
No. When my mum passed away, we had the ashes at home for a little while because my dad wanted to scatter them in India, and my dad had them by his bedside table at night time. They were there all the time, and at 4:00 every day he'd go upstairs with a cup of tea and sit with my mum because that's what he used to do in the care home. Sit with her and have a cup of tea.
See all these rituals, really nice.
And he gave you comfort.
Nice.
He gave you comfort.
Exactly. Nice. Oh, well, thank you all very much for coming on today. Thank you to Eileen. Thank you to Cookie. Thank you to Rosalind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.